let it be said, let it be recognized. I think it's interesting that I have had 3 YouTube channels removed in the last, what is it, 6 months? Three. We're talking about Jews. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I gotta get this out without laughing. We're talking about Jews, the Holocaust, homosexuals, the Bible, and the grand Masonic order of atmospheric mold that's rolling over the world, or whatever theory I've got today. And I am getting my theories along the way. Um, Anything that just gives fertile territory for exploration. I mean, that's basically the point of a theory, right? I mean, look at the theories that come up in psychiatry. I mean, have they even produced any new theories? Don't you love the asshole that's elected to get up in the Council of Nations and say, "We, meaning I, have a new theory in testicular thermonuclear interdimensional quantum pulsing." It's too sophisticated for me to explain for you, even the intellectual elite of this world. For we were given secret government funding. This is an interesting saga. It's called "How Do I Keep My Coffee Cup from Falling Over?" To cut a long story short, I'm about to dazzle you with the most sophisticated bullshit the world's ever seen. Standing room only. This is gonna be better bullshit than SETI. Set is an Egyptian god of death. Sunset. Death of the sun. That kind of thing. It's amazing how much of the language they rooted in their Egyptian language. I think, you know, Egyptian mythology was actually the root of a lot of the different languages that they invented, and or the language they invented to pollute all the languages of the world with. And it's Egyptian. Walk like an Egyptian, talk like an Egyptian, think like an Egyptian, feel like an Egyptian, and or homosexual, you know, and to put it in modern parlance. And so if you're into that, you're like, hey man, we're walking like an Egyptian. You are. You're walking like a homosexual Egyptian. And there's all kinds of homosexual out there. Homosexuals know it. Homosexuals are seeing a brave new world through the homosexual eyes. They're gonna see all kinds of homosexuality, and they're seeing the new heaven and the new earth. You know, it's not being seen by the people living in the fifth dimension or all these fucking new age pussies. It's being seen by the homosexual and the lesbian. They're seeing the new earth. This is the earth of the future. They are at the cutting edge. The Pride Parade people, and it's there to make you cower in your boots, because you go look at any Pride Parade. These are the cultural avatars of our age: the homosexual, the tranny, the queer, the pedophile, the whole fucking menagerie that crawls down that road in its pussy powered, leather skinned, boa constrictor minds of identity and power, all utterly sterilized in any way that used to matter only a few short decades ago. So, or so we think, because I think it's always been about that. But these are the cultural avatars. These people are following the lead signal of the zeitgeist of this world, which is, moving into a global movement. The LGBTQ movement is another global religion. It comes in right under the radar. It's a global religion. It's going to come through every religion eventually. right? Because all those religions were about being homosexual, and now being homosexual is going to be about all the religions. And they've got another 10,000 years on this fucking ticker. You know, it's only used its half life now. This curse has got another 2,000 to go or more, because the sense of time is changing all the time. It's not that I've had these new age people say, "Oh, time is speeding up." No, it's how people spend their time is changing, and time has been played with in how much time you think has been between now and zero. So zero was kind of like 0 to 500 to 1500 to now, or better yet, 0 to 1500 to now. It was really quite a leapfrog to now. It's really only been now for a very small amount of time. It's only been now for about 500 years. It's only been how it is now for about 500 years, maybe, that we know of for sure. And before 500 years ago, things were very, very different than they are now. 500 years ago, there wasn't any of the theories we have now, any of the sense of Egypt, any of the sense of the Holocaust. There was nothing like the Bible. There was nothing like, there almost wasn't an Islam. None of these things. Like, you look back 500 years, which is really the amount of time that they couldn't completely disappear. I mean, if they could have given us 100 years of forewarning of the present day, they probably would have. But 500 years, you give yourself a little time, right? 500 years to build this world prison. It was to be a world feeding fest for, I think, a stratospheric mold, and I think it's become a prison for them. And we're unwilling to execute their punishment. And so we go around living in a world that was originally designed like a huge FEMA camp to get us involved in executing each other, like a compulsion, because we don't want to touch the Holy Father sitting in the corner. That's controlling all of this and preventing people from looking at the things they need to see, the things they, in fact, they are seeing, so that they remain dark specters of their mind, under the threat that your father may not be your father. Your job might not have been the best thing for you to do, and all the ways that you look down on those around you who didn't have your way of life or your luxuries are now it doesn't seem like a very big difference, because you're both laying in the same bed, shitting into a bucket. And then it's just, all the fun is sapped out really quickly when you're taking 6 kinds of medication and you forget like how to even take a shit anymore. And I see it and hear about it every day. All the fun is gone. And like a soldier, I guess, who finally ends up in the battlefield, if there is any, and long before that, you've fucking lost all enthusiasm for this enterprise. Now it's just staying alive. Staying alive. And these people around you that yell at you and have trained you, they're all you've got. Right? So you better do what you're told. And before that, if any soldier was ever smart enough to think about it, he was made to feel that way with respect to his own parents. Isn't that fascinating? There's other more elaborate ways to put it, and I've put them in those ways this day, but yeah, I mean, these are the dark things, where riches are buried. There isn't gold down there, so people don't want to do any prospecting. You can't make any money at it, you can't sell your ass, there's no prostitution to be had, right? There's no sex, money, drugs, there's no popularity, but there is a huge fertility in looking at these dark areas. There's a lot of riches in there, if you're willing to brave the darkness. And most people aren't. They've lost their taste for such things. They might even be into certain conspiracy theories. They like their darkness maybe out there in space. The aliens they know they're never going to see, and they don't have to. And that's the wonderful thing about it. They can just live in their minds. Right? And that's exactly where they should live. And it's a wonderful place to have aliens in your mind. Right? And it's like they're like a break from thinking about the things that aliens have to think about that you don't have to. They've got all the secrets to the universe. They already know them. They're like, yeah, mom and dad, like, there's no point in challenging yourself because they're so far ahead of you. They've got all the knowledge. Like, really, you just have to apply to them for it. You're not going to get it yourself. Being that advanced, you'd have to apply for knowledge, beg for it. And so and the next thing you know, you're applying for a job and you're applying this because they've given you another God that comes with the suggestion that you apply for knowledge and you apply for power and you apply for the means and the measures with which to satisfy yourself as a creature who once had a mother and father. So you think about that. You think about that real good. Sorry, I'm ending in a sort of deliverance fashion. You think about that real good. And the fires of hell are burning at thy feet and in thine anus. You'll think real good about what you heard this day that now has only been around for a little while. And before that, they tell you there's nothing. But I'm telling you all that nothing and all that blackness, there's a whole lot of something, motherfucker.